Okay, so in this video I want to show you some rigging concepts that you can use when it comes to rigging characters or just creating rigs that you can animate for practice and animation or for any use. So I'm going to go into the left view here just by hitting L on the keyboard, and I'm going to drag the view down. So this, if I imagine this is the ground plane, you can imagine drawing out the character, the bones, the rig, if you will, as it were to stand on this. So I'm going to go over to Systems and Bones, and one of the things that I want to do is I want to just check real quick to see about how big these settings are at the moment. And this is a pretty good setting size. I'm actually going to go a little smaller, and I'm going to set the taper to 0. And let's do this again. So I will notice I'm not coming straight down. We're actually looking at the side here. So I'm going to actually bring the knee out a little bit, and like so. And we'll come down for the ankle about there, and then down for the foot, and then out for the ball of the foot, and then right click to end. So we get something like that. Alright, and if I were to select all of this and go to front view and move this over and hit Z just to zoom extent selected, or we can come down here and zoom extent selected, and I'm just going to move this over a little ways and see if I can get this. I can't, so let's just move this guy about here. I'm looking on my grid, so let's see, it's about 2 grids over, and I will hold with them all selected like this. I'll hold shift and I'll drag it over about 2 grids away from the center line here. So if we go into perspective, we see we have the start of our legs, and I'm going to go ahead and to the front view, and I'm going to drag out the spine. So I'm going to go right from the center, click once, and I'm going to go all the way to the top to where I think the end of the spine should be, and I can go ahead and right click to end. So again, we see we have one long bone for the spine, and we'll actually go into divvy this up here in a minute, so don't worry too much about that. I'm gonna quickly from this point, I'm not gonna create the bones when we see the cursor change, because then we're gonna actually create from that point. We can, but I just prefer to have the clavicle kind of floating on its own. So I'll just create a clavicle and then right click to end, and that'd probably be a good position. Now I will come down for the arms. Again, I'm not gonna connect the two, even though technically we could, but I'm not going to. So I'll just come down for the upper arm. I'm trying to keep it straight. Forearm and then hand. And if I were to, this one I will connect for the neck, and then one big one for the head. Alright, so go into perspective by hitting P. Okay, so I'm just trying to look here and get an idea of how everything's working. And I'm thinking that this is pretty good setup. I think he's a little tall, or his legs are a little short. So this is a good time to make those adjustments. And honestly, I think it'd be easier to redo the legs. So if I just double click on the thigh bone here, it'll select everything else, and I can delete that. Now what I'll do is I'll go to Animation, Bone Tools, and I can set this up. If we go into Bone Edit mode, then what we can do is when we can drag out bones like so, and we can reposition. So you see like that, I can make the leg longer, and this one I can pull it down. So let me see, and maybe a little longer and a little longer. Turn that off, and again I will just copy this over. Let's do it in the front view. So I'll put it over 2 grid units, and let's see, I select all of him and move him up as if he were standing on the ground, and I think that's pretty good. I'll just go in here and I'm gonna turn this off for a second and just taper this head up just a little bit so I can see that there's a head, and I think that's a pretty good start. I think that I like the proportions there. Of course we could, if we wanted to get really picky, for example, we create a dummy. It's about as tall as our head there, and I just make some copies and say let's get 7 of those. So there we have, there's 4 heads, and if we were to go off the heads tall proportional theory, this is about where his waist should be. So based on the size of his head, he's a little out of proportion. So we could use that. For example, here's this line right here is about where the knee should be, but I'm not really concerned about that for this particular project. Just want to show you some basic concepts. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and rename everything. So I'm just going to quickly again double click to select the whole leg, and I'll go Tools, Rename Objects, and the base name we will make leg, and I'll say underscore, and let's put a prefix on it for right underscore, and we can just do a numbered. So we see right leg 0, right leg 1, on and on and on. And we could name these if we really wanted to. This little bone here is really of no consequence. He isn't going to be linked to anything, so he could get deleted, honestly. I'm just going to rotate him up, but we see everything's been named. So I will do the same thing over here. Leg underscore, this time I will put an L and rename. Notice I'm not closing that window, so left leg. And this time it named it from the bottom up, so I will double click and do it again. So we see left leg 0 starts at the top, 1, 2 down the row, and of course you can go in and name these foot and ball of foot if you want to. The main thing I'm concerned with is just the left leg and right leg thing. So I'm going to name this guy spine. This will be, I will do the left underscore clavicle. I'm going to go ahead and bend this arm. So with rotate, I'm going to switch this to local. We see the gizmo changes into local coordinate space, and now we can just rotate that a little bit. It's the same concept how we have the knees bent. It's going to help us out with our IK. Alright, so let's go ahead and name these. So this will be left underscore arm 00 if we wanted to. Matter of fact, let's just go ahead and double click it, and this one will be arm and rename. So left arm on down the line. Okay, this is going to be our neck and head. Okay, this little doohickey at the top, I'm going to hit delete and get rid of that. This bone right here can honestly go as well, and I would just go ahead and link this guy right to the spine like so, so that if we were to rotate the spine, we see that the head goes with, which is good. Alright, so now I want to mirror